I had this fear of birth. So I didn't even know there was a name for it. I just thought I was a hot mess. And so at that point, I really needed to start looking out for ways to try and sort this out. But I was in a panic, like having panic attacks. I couldn't even look at my pregnancy books without having panic attacks. So I was on another level that I really didn't feel was being spoken about in terms of where I was at.
Welcome to the Radiant Mom Rising, the podcast that's all about celebrating and empowering the incredible hardworking mothers out there. I'm your host, Mary Dibble. I'm on a mission to equip you with the tools, strategies, and inspiration you need to conquer the challenges of motherhood and life, all while embracing your radiant self. Join us each week for amazing guest interviews, relatable stories, and a whole lot of fun. We're here to create a vibrant, supportive community where we can be our authentic selves, where no one feels alone, and where we uplift and cheer each other on along this incredible journey of motherhood. So, fellow Radiant Moms, get ready to rise, shine, and conquer the world. Let's grow together, laugh together, and make every week a celebration of the powerful, radiant moms we are. This is Radiant Mom Rising, and you're part of a community where your brilliance shines through. Are you ready to rise with us? Let's get started. Thank you for tuning in to the Radiant Mom Rising podcast. I'm Mary Dibble, your host, and I'm excited to introduce you today to Miss Alexia Leachman. She's a mental fitness, emotional health, head trash clearance specialist. She is a founder of Head Trash and the developer of Head Trash Clearance, a potent clearance technique for getting rid of fears, anxieties, traumas, self-doubts, and sabotage. She's the author of Clear Your Head Trash, How to Create Clarity, Confidence, and Peace in Your Life and Work, which teaches how to use head trash clearance. Her book, Fearless Birthing, shares how this technique can be used to overcome pregnancy and birth fears. Alexia hosts 2 chart-topping, award-nominated podcasts that together have been downloaded over 1.5 million times and are listened into in 180 plus countries. The Head Trash Show helps her listeners to improve their mindset, while her Fear-Free Childbirth podcast helps women prepare for a fearless birth. Both podcasts empower listeners with knowledge, inspiration, and mindset techniques, and features expert guests sharing their wisdom. Alexia is also sought out by those who want to clear the head trash that's affecting their lives. She has worked with people from all over the world, including A-listers and TV personalities, to help them lose their fears and anxieties to find calmness, clarity, and confidence in their lives. As a trainer, Alexia trains coaches and therapists, doulas, and midwives in head trash clearance so that they can help their clients achieve rapid transformation. Alexia lives in the south of France with her 2 kids. As a family, they recently left the UK to create their dream life, and it's still a work in progress. I really enjoyed our conversation. She has so much to bring to the table. She's got a great personality. I'm so excited for you to hear her. So without further ado, Miss Alexia Leachman. Welcome to the show, Radiant Mom Rising. Today I have Miss Alexia Leachman with me. She is the author of Clear Your Head Trash, Fearless Birthing, and she's the founder of Head Trash and a marketing and mindset mentor. It sounds amazing, everything you do. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Mo, for having me. I can't wait for this conversation.
Me too. I know it's so exciting to meet you and hear all about you. I would love for you to share a little bit with the audience, your journey that's led you to be where you are today, with where you are in your business and everything. So please share with us your journey.
Sure. Well, this part of the journey really started when I was a pregnant business coach. And I was a business coach and I became pregnant. And I didn't realize at the time, but I had taphephobia, which is extreme fear of birth and pregnancy. And I only realized that I had it, or at least that something was wrong, when I saw the pregnancy test. And the minute I knew I was pregnant, I just fell into this pit of despair and dread and horror at being pregnant. And it just didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And I really, really struggled. I ended up losing the baby at 7 weeks. And then when I lost the baby, I experienced this huge profound relief. And I thought, oh my goodness, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you experiencing relief at a miscarriage? You are not normal. Because who does, right? Who experiences relief at a miscarriage? And so this kind of really propelled me on my own personal healing journey, because I was wrestling with anxiety. I was wrestling with depression at the time. I'd not long lost my mum to cancer very suddenly. So I was wrestling with grief. I mean, I was a hot mess. And so I thought, I've really got to get to the bottom of this, because this is probably why I'm feeling all of these things, because of what I've just gone through. So I spent the next year really addressing my anxiety, working really hard, doing lots of inner change work on that. And so a year later, when I got pregnant again, this time I still was terrified at the thought of pregnancy and birth. But this time, instead of feeling that dread that I had the first time, I was like, okay, deep breath. Yes, you can do this. You can do this. Like, and so I thought, actually, yeah, I can do this. I didn't feel like I was wallowing in the pit of despair like I was the first time. And I didn't realize again that even though I had this fear of birth, so I didn't even know there was a name for it. I just thought I was a hot mess. And so at that point, I really needed to start looking out for ways to try and sort this out. But I was in a panic, like having panic attacks. I couldn't even look at my pregnancy books without having panic attacks. So I was on another level that I really didn't feel was being spoken about in terms of where I was at. And so nothing really worked for me. So I decided that I needed to kind of deal with this myself. And so I decided to try and find a way to heal my own phobia and to heal my own fears. And so I did that and tested it on myself at my first midwife appointment. I tested it on my own fear of injections. I used to be the kind of person that would just faint the minute a needle was mentioned or came out. And so when my midwife sort of held up three needles going, right, time for all your injections, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, no way. Yeah. And so that was my opportunity while she was getting all the needles ready to practice what I've been thinking about. And it worked. Like, I came back in and she was like, so are you scared of needles? Having remembered my reaction like 5 minutes beforehand. And I was like, nope, not me. And that really caught me by surprise, because I thought, hang on a minute, you're normally fainting at this point. How can you just say no without, like, did I say that? So that really was a pivotal moment for me. And I thought, hang on a minute, if I can do that on those injection fears, I could do this on all my birth fears. And so that's what I did. I basically unpacked my taphephobia, my fear, anxiety around birth and pregnancy, and spent my second trimester healing my phobia. And then I knew in my month 7, I think I thought, I was like, I know, I'm going to change my birth plan from C-section with all the drugs, please, to home birth. And so that's what I ended up having. And so that really was the beginning of me developing my work and my methodology, what I now call head trash clearance, which is a method that I kind of tested on myself in my own pregnancy. And then I continue to use as my business clients, because I was a business coach at the time. But I never really knew. I was like, well, did my stuff really work? Because maybe I just had a fluke with that birth, and I could only really test it, know that it worked properly if I got pregnant again. So that happened 4 years later. So I was able to kind of see if the fears had still gone, was it the work that I'd done? And yes, sure enough, I was able to kind of refine and test my stuff a second time with the second birth experience. And as a result of those 2 experiences, I think I was breastfeeding my newborn, and I started getting emails from women that I didn't even know. And I have no idea how they heard about my story, but they were like, how did you do that? How did you have 2 births when you're so terrified and you've just had such a fearless experience? Like, how did you do that? So I was responding to these emails to these women and explaining what I did. And they were quite long emails. And so I remember at one point thinking, if I get another one of these emails, I'm going to write a book. And I got another email, which meant I wrote the book. So then here I was, a business coach with an now book for pregnant women, thinking, what have you done? Like, why have you done this? So I decided I would share some of the content of my book via a podcast. And so that was the birth of my Fear-Free Childbirth podcast, which I also had my Head Trash podcast at the time. So juggling 2 podcasts was a bit full on. And the birth podcast just went nuts. I just don't know what it was, but apparently there's a lot of women out there with fear around birth, and they just really wanted to know more about how I did it. So this led me to pivot my business away from the business coaching that I was doing and supporting women around pregnancy and birth, specifically, or specializing in taphephobia. But I still do business work. So I've still done a lot of work with women, a lot of women are business leaders, women helping them to get rid of their head trash around business, because I had some women going, oh, that fear clearance stuff you do with birth, does it work for businessy fears too? And I was like, hell yeah. So my work is a blend today of this birth work, but also continuing with my business and marketing coaching by helping people to untangle and get rid of all the head trash that's getting in the way of them and the business and the life that they desire. So that's kind of short version, I think, to where I am today.
Wonderful. That's awesome. I think that's so important. And I didn't even realize that there was a term for it. And like you say, there are so many people out there. I mean, we have so many fears in so many areas, but to have to be fearful of having a child is, I can't imagine, because it's such an incredible experience of having a human being inside of you growing. And it is a lot. I know my experience with my very first, I was only 19 years old when I got pregnant with him. And it was scary because the guy who got me pregnant left me because I wouldn't have an abortion. And it was a terrible experience because I felt very alone. I did have really good support and friends, which was great. But the actual birth of it, the contractions, I do not like pain. So it was very challenging for me until, of course, I got the epidural, and then I was good. But what was amazing is later on in life, when I met my husband and we ended up having 2 kids, I remember when the first one, I remember being like, please God, don't let me go through that kind of experience again. I was so afraid of feeling that pain again, because it felt like I wanted to rip my stomach off and run. Like, it was terrible and I didn't like it. And I actually was very blessed to have 2 births. I remember the first time I went in with my daughter, Brea, and they hooked me up to the machines and I was getting induced, and they were like, are you not feeling that? And I'm like, feeling what? And they're like, you've been having contractions since you walked in here. And I was like, what? I was like, no, because I hadn't had medicine yet. I hadn't had the epidural. I hadn't had anything. And I thought it was so incredible, like how I worked so much on just trusting and taking care of myself through this process. And I actually had a supernatural childbirth experience that I actually had read a book about when I was 18 years old at this place called the Holy Way, that talked about women who experienced absolutely painless births. Yeah. And it's cool because I kind of implemented that in my mind as much as I could. And I did. I ended up having 2 incredible experiences with my most recent children. But I absolutely love what you do, because it's like, you're right. It goes so much more than just even with the birthing and life itself. We are full of so much fears and so many doubts, and we get in our own way and just our heads alone, our thoughts. So if there is someone out there right now who is struggling and wanting to have a baby, terrified of the experience or things like that, right now with what you do, what would be your number one advice that you would give them to help them to feel good about moving forward?
Well, I mean, the thing that with my approach is it's not about positive thinking. So if people are hoping that I'm going to say that, then I'm going to disappoint, I'm afraid, because my technique is really about eyeballing your fears and not shying away from them. And that can be quite hard for some people to deal with, but that works. And I've got a lot of success under my belt, and I know that it works. I've been doing this for over a decade now. And so the best advice I can offer really is to really sit with your fear and to understand what it is exactly that you're fearful of. When people say, oh, I'm scared of birth, I'm scared of pregnancy, well, ask yourself this: what is it about pregnancy, or what is it about birth that worries me, that makes me anxious? And often the answer to that question is going to be things like, well, I'm worried about losing control. I'm worried about maybe the pain, maybe the fact that I'm not going to be respected in the birth space, or they're not going to listen to me, or I'll be ignored, or I'll lose my dignity, or I'll not have control. And so these are the fears that I end up working with people on, because these fears of losing control, this isn't a birth thing. This is a human thing. Guys have that fear too. This isn't just pregnant women that have these fears, but the act of pregnancy, that the being pregnant and the fact that you have to face birth forces you to confront some of these fears that people that aren't on this journey can kind of pass on by without really having to confront them. Whereas pregnancy doesn't give you a way out. You have to kind of like deal with it head on, or not, and then kind of deal with the ramifications of going into a birth full of fear, which can really exacerbate the birth experience, make it more painful, make it last longer. So the benefits of addressing your fears during pregnancy, even before pregnancy, means that your birth will last. It'll be quicker. It'll less likely end in medical intervention, like a C-section or needing any like epidurals and things like that. But also it means it will be less painful. And so the benefits of working on your fears before pregnancy and birth are just, for me, it's pretty compelling. And so, yeah, the first thing is really to kind of identify what those individual strands of your fear are, because that's where I step in and can help, because then I've created loads of things for people to self-heal, because I don't want loads of people just hire me and just spend all my days doing work with women. I just want to make this an experience that people can own and clear themselves. So they can buy my book and learn the technique to get rid of that fear themselves. And there are thousands of women that have done that. They just buy the book, learn how to clear the fear, and then they're able to clear their own fears during their pregnancy, during the birth. I was clearing fears while I was doing in between contractions, fears that were coming up during labor. And so to be able to have a tool like that available that you can use anytime in between contractions, but also at work when your boss is being a complete, idiot. Yeah. Like whenever you might have something going on in your life, your kids driving you insane because they've not tidied up the Lego for the 6th time that day, whatever's going on, there's going to be something that's driving you mad, that's triggering you, that's making you anxious or whatever it is. And so to have a tool to hand that you can then go, right, I'm just going to take 10 minutes, I'm going to hide in the bathroom and I'm going to work on this right now so that I can deal with the day. That's what I'm about, is giving people this way of managing their own mental health and emotional well-being so that they are in charge, not, oh, hang on, let me just book a session with Lex so that I can deal with this. No. You deal with this, honey. You've got what you need. But obviously, some people like shortcuts. So I've got things like fear clearance audio tracks on my website that mean that people can just listen to stuff if they feel it easier to do that way. But it all starts with identifying what your fears are, because until you know what they are, until you can label them, eyeball them, you're kind of wading through glue. It's like, I often say to people, if you have like anxiety or something like taphephobia or OCD, for example, then it's like, I don't know if you know where you live, you have IKEA that have those big blue bags that people kind of end up using for all manner of rubbish in your house that ends up let's just shove it in that great bag in the corner. And then you just know that there's this huge bag of stuff, it's like a bin bag. And you just know that it's got a load of stuff in it, but you're not really sure what's in it. And that's what a phobia is like. That's what anxiety is like. You just have this really heavy load of stuff that's inside, but you really need to open the bag and have a look and pick out all the stuff and see what it is. Yeah. And that's what my process kind of invites you to do, which is why I keep going back to, whatever your thing is that you're anxious about or you're fearful of, really try and pinpoint it with laser focus. Yeah. And try and identify what those individual things are, because those are things in your bag. And then you can kind of clear those things out one by one so that you can lighten the bag and eventually empty it and chuck the bag away. And you no longer have your anxiety or your taphephobia, whatever it is that you're wrestling with, because you've kind of lightened it so much that you don't need the bag anymore. And you can kind of move through life much lighter and confident and happier, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's my advice to people struggling with any kind of fear.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah, absolutely. Finding that root cause and understanding yourself more, building that awareness, that self-awareness of yourself is like definitely the first stages in any type of changes that you want to make for your life. If you can't recognize what's the cause or why you think this way, why you feel this way, then you can't really change anything about it. So I love that. And I think what you're doing is so important. Anyone out there, I feel like, would be lucky to follow you, to work with you. You have had 2 successful pregnancies, you said, so you have 2 kids?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. Tell us a little about them.
Oh, well, they're 2 girls, and they're like, one of them has been short. She's had short hair since the age of 4. So everyone thinks she's a boy, plays football, hasn't worn a dress since the age of 4. And, so they're just kind of, they're their own girls, they're kind of feisty and they know exactly what they want, and they stand up for themselves. And it's really, I'm just super, super proud of them and love being a mum. But it's crazy because when I talk about when I was a career woman and I was like, no, kids are not for me. No. That was my fear talking, it wasn't. And when I cleared all my fear, I realized, oh my God, I do want to, and I love being a mum. So it's, it's great being a mum, but and now kind of imparting, like today in the car with my 8-9-year-old, she's like, talking about babies and how big does the baby fit through that hole then? How does it come out, having these kind of conversations? So, one minute she wants 9 babies and next minute she's like, oh, I don't know if it's going to sit. Is it going to come out, mummy? So it's lovely to be able to have conversations like that with them. I love it.
Oh my goodness. I know. Well, my little girl's 4 right now, so I can only imagine it's going to, I can't wait for those talks for sure. So that's always so much fun. You gotta love it. I think that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. I love to hear that you have been able to turn something that was so scary for you into the beautiful experience that it's become. And it's cool because so many people do hold off on even like having kids because of that. Well, I want to do this first. I have to get through this first. But in life, we can make things happen no matter where we are. Even if we end up becoming moms, you can still, I have young kids at home. I work full time, but I still pursue my dreams because, it's possible. And you can make the time and you can make it happen. And that's why I want to give back and help women and moms, especially hardworking moms, to see that you can create the life you want, no matter where you are and what your situation is like. There's always even baby steps that you can take towards the life that you desire. And it's worth it. It's very much worth it. It's a wonderful journey. Things happen for you as you start working towards that you wouldn't even realize until you make that leap. So
absolutely.
So you said I know you're an author of 2 books. Are they both? I know that there's a Clear Your Head Trash and then the Fearless Birthing. Tell us a little bit about that. I know you said something about how you shared in those books a little bit of your journey as far as overcoming your fears. Are both of them like that, what they're about? Or
so when I was a business coach and I was developing this technique that I ended up using, making it DIY to use on my own fears, my plan was during my maternity leave, that second maternity leave, was to write the book that shared my method. And for my business, for a business audience really, because I was seeing the impact of using what is now called head trash clearance in the context of business and work in your professional life. And then obviously I had my own pregnancy experiences and that whole journey was kind of happening too. And so when I started getting these emails from these women when I was breastfeeding my second daughter, when she was like 2 weeks old, the book that I started writing suddenly morphed into a book on like how to unpack your pregnancy. It just became, I think in 2 months, she was born in October and I started writing it late October, early November. And by February, I had 108,000 words. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? So it was needing editing and all of that. But essentially in that book, I help women to kind of unpack their own pregnancy fears, birth fears, anxiety, so they can kind of strip it back and come up with what I call a head trash clearance to-do list, which this is your to-do list where every item on your list needs clearing. And then I share the technique, the head trash clearance method, which they then can use. So it's all in the book and then they just basically can learn how to do that. But then my business audience and the listeners on my head trash podcast were like, well, when are you going to write the book for us? We're not pregnant. We don't want to be moms. Like I'm a guy, So then the Clear Your Head Trash book is kind of me sharing the whole technique, but without all the pregnancy birth stuff going on. So it's more for a general audience. But both books tell people how to use head trash clearance on themselves so they can clear their own anxieties, fears, whatever that's going on for them. And the Clear Your Head Trash book, you could read that in an evening. It's really, really straight to the point. And then my Head Trash podcast is really to help you get better results with the method. So I really kind of talk a lot about, I might pick a certain theme and go, right, okay, if you're wrestling with X, Y, Z, these would be good clearances, things to add to your list. And if people have got the book, they're like, oh, right, okay, I'll add that to my list, brilliant, and they can kind of crack on. So I just want to create as many resources really for people so that they can tackle it. And of course, some people need guidance. So a lot of people end up working with me because they're like, well, I've tried doing it in the book and but I just want you to be there to make sure I'm doing it right, or to kind of guide me into, I don't think I'm seeing it all. So, so I end up working with people that want more support, that want more of my mentorship on that healing journey.
Attention, hardworking moms. Are you ready to kickstart your journey to a thriving online business? Introducing Learn and Earn Profits Online Max, a groundbreaking digital resale course that's revolutionizing success. Learn how to create your own funnel and sell this exact course, pocketing a whopping 100% of the profits. Yes, you heard that right, 100% yours. Lipo Max is an enhanced platform packed with incredible modules and valuable insights designed to elevate your online business game. Don't miss this chance to join a supportive community where hard work meets exceptional opportunities. Say goodbye to the hassle of creating courses from scratch. Lipo Max does the heavy lifting for you, empowering you to learn and earn in an environment tailored for your success. Act fast and secure your spot in this game-changing program and set yourself up for a prosperous life. Join the Lipo Max community today. Click on the link in the show notes to learn more or contact me today with any questions.
And of course, when it comes to business stuff, when we're kind of unpacking, because I've got 15 years in marketing and business, then as a business coach, I can kind of blend the two as well in a way that's quite unique, because I've got this method as well. So we end up getting really kind of powerful business results for people as a result of clearing their business head trash. So yeah, the books really are an opportunity for people to start that healing journey on themselves. And I, of course, not everybody, it's not, people haven't got to work with me. They go off and get amazing results on their own. So I'm always getting emails from people saying, oh, I did this. And so like, I've just brought the Fear-Free Childbirth podcast back after a break of about 5 years. And as part of the podcast, I've always shared positive birth stories of women overcoming their fears and now having great birth experiences to share. And what's been incredible is, because I've had such a long break with the podcast, I'm now, when I kind of reach back out to my listeners who are, people still listen to the podcast today, saying, oh my goodness, you're back. I've got these amazing stories to share with you. I was really terrified. And now I'm realizing the impact of doing this fear clearance work when you're pregnant, because I'm now hearing the stories of these women that use their pregnancy fears as an opportunity to heal and to do the personal change work, the personal growth work. But then the impact has been far beyond the birth experience for them. They've gone on to really change their lives, pursue dream vocations, start their businesses, do amazing things that they never really had the courage to do before. But now they've cleared their fears. They're like, well, yeah, I'm going to do that. No problem, I can do that. I remember there was one client, she had just given birth. She was still in postpartum, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks in to postpartum and getting used to being a new mum. And she's like, you know what, I've decided I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start a business. And I've already told my boss. And I was like, oh my God, you're crazy. Like, give it a minute. Like, hold on a moment. She goes, no, but I can do it. I can do it. I can so do it. And she just had this real confidence about her that made her like, no, of course I can do it. Like, why wouldn't I be able to do it? This gung-ho, I can do anything that, the birth, that empowering birth experience kind of inspired within her, that she's gone on to do incredible, the work that she adores, and how can you, that's what everybody dreams for their lives. There's one lady that the interview's about to go out on the podcast. She not only she was taphephobia, so she terrified of birth. She cleared her fears using my books and podcasts. I don't know. She was never a client of mine. She just used my material. Went on to have 2 babies of her own. And then she said her second birth was just so amazing. Her second pregnancy was so amazing that after a year, when her little one was a year old, she said to her husband, I really want to get pregnant again, but I don't want to keep the baby. I'm gonna be a surrogate. What do you think? And she's now on her second surrogate baby as a result of having overcome her fears during her own pregnancy. What kind of transformation is that?
That's
it's quite mind-blowing.
Yes, that's huge of a transformation. I love it. As in, she just gifted some amazing people, children through that. That's so powerful and such a beautiful story. And I love to hear that. And I'm so happy for you that you're able to bring that podcast back and touch even more lives and make the impact that you're making. This is what I love right here. This is what I love being connected to, what I love seeing, the vulnerability that we are showing as women that for many of us didn't feel like we were allowed to show or allowed to share with the world. And it's so amazing to just be able to understand, it's okay. We all have fears. It's a part of us and we don't need to even run from that. Facing it is so powerful, and understanding it, owning it, and finding a way to move past it and being like, okay, I hear you, I see you, but I'm still going to choose to do this. I'm still going to embrace it and make the best of it and get past it. And then incredible things happen when we do that. It's mind blowing. And I love hearing these stories. I can't wait to listen to your podcast. Be sure to subscribe to her Head Trash podcast for sure. And tune in, because it sounds like you're going to hear some incredible stories and transformations of people doing her work and working with her. So I love that.
Yeah, no, doing the work. I mean, I don't think it really ends, does it, doing this kind of personal work, change work. And I've become a little bit addicted to it. And mainly because I'm constantly expanding my method and adding new strands to it. So in the last 18 months, I've developed a trauma healing aspect to it that really targets lots of hidden traumas, micro traumas, in utero traumas, ancestral trauma. So the stuff that's lurking that maybe we don't all have awareness of, there's a lot of methods out there that target the big scary event traumas, the ones that we know about, but it's less obvious to target the ones that are lurking, that are kind of having an impact on our fears and anxieties that we don't even have a conscious recollection of, that are kind of steering the ship without us realizing, So in diving deeper into that, and obviously using myself as a test subject the whole time, and only when I've tested it on myself do I then start, testing on others and saying, oh, I've just added this. Do you want to have a go? See what you think? And so I'm addicted to this because the change that I'm experiencing on a personal level is just phenomenal. And then when I see that it also has an impact like that on the clients and the people I work with, why stop? I just want to keep going with that. And the thing that really drives me is, I don't consider myself to be a therapist. I consider myself to be a business owner with a brand, and I want to have a product that anybody can access, even if you haven't got the means. So I've got a membership, for example, where people can access real powerful, potent change for just like $29 a month. So you don't need to afford a therapist. I don't want, a lot of people can't afford to get this kind of support. And yet the world is in crisis right now. We've got mental health challenges are off the scale, and there's anxiety, there's COVID that's really, really really made things worse for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
And so there just aren't enough people, so therapists, or whatever you want to call them, change workers, to really support based on the level of need there is right now. And so everything I do is around making sure that it's DIY, that it can be done online, that one person can work with many. So I've done group healings online. I run group programs, which means that people can access this kind of support at a much lower price than they would if they had to go and find a therapist, for example, because there are new ways of healing now that mean that it can work rapidly, that you don't have to sit and wade through the story and just talk about it for hours on end. You can actually just skip that part and go straight to healing and getting rid of it. And that's the way that I work. And so enabling and empowering people anywhere to really access that kind of rapid personal change is what I'm about. And if they, I had this one lady that she joined my membership. She had taphephobia and depression, but she had no money. And she said, I can't even leave the house. I'm just crying. I'm in bed. I just can't do anything. I can't function. And I really want to be a mom, and I'm terrified. And she was in a bit of a mess. And I said, well, maybe try my membership site, but even, some people who are depressed find it very hard to maybe do things and even take action. That can be hard for some people like that. But she didn't find that bit hard. And 2 months later, she cancelled my membership. And I remember thinking, oh my God, my membership is rubbish. So I got on a call. I said, oh, I'd love to get your feedback, blah, blah, blah. Let's hop on a call. And she went, oh my God, thank you. You've saved me. Like, I feel so much better. We're now trying for a baby. My depression's behind me. And I was like, oh my God, you've been in there 2 months. You've not even spent $99 and you healed yourself of your depression, your taphephobia on your own. And it just blows my mind. She's now about to give birth because she's now pregnant and, went through all of that, having overcome all that. And she did it on her own. And that's what I want to help other people to access is the fact that this change work is available to all of us. We just have to kind of want to commit to doing the work. We don't always need somebody there to pay large amounts of money to. We can actually just do that on our own. And so I just want to make that really easy for people if that's what they're up for, So if any self-healers out there want to start that journey, then those are the people those are my tribe, basically.
Yes, I love it. No, that's wonderful. And that is so awesome, because that is something that keeps people back too, is, we all have that financial block in ourselves too, of investing in ourselves. And so it's nice to have options. Because there's power in spending that investment in the fact that you show up more for the things that stretch you. So I do feel like that's important when you're really trying to make change. However, it's still nice to have access to affordable options to still get value and help build yourself up in the meantime until you can to get to the point where you're ready to do more. If you need more, or like you say, get that amazing transformation, because at the end of the day, it is you who makes the change. It doesn't matter what we say or what we provide. You are the one in the end who has to implement it. You have to be willing to do the work yourself, because it's only you who can make the true change you want to see. And that's wonderful. I love what you're amazing. You really are. And I think you're definitely going places, and I can't wait to see you grow and to see all the amazing people you impact. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you, Mary. That's very kind of you to say so.
Yeah, I'm Sarah. I think you're amazing. So thank you so much for being here on my show, for sharing your story, for being your beautiful self and doing all that you do for so many out there who need this. You're an inspiration. You truly are.
Thank you.
And before we go, is there any other piece of advice or just anything you'd want to say for the listeners about?
Yeah, I mean, if whatever you're feeling is okay, I'd really just encourage people not to kind of be down on themselves about what they are feeling, what they are wrestling with. And sometimes just sitting with how you're feeling is a really good thing to do, and kind of let it move through you. You know, there's a client I'm working with at the moment, and she just said she had to take a pause from her clearance work recently, and just because we uncovered another wound for her, and just sitting with this wound and letting it work through her and come to the surface, and just be okay with it, be okay with sitting with it, you know, rather than kind of wanting to numb and hide and run away from, is embracing what you're feeling, because that's the way through it eventually. And so to almost connect to your pain, your fear, whatever it is that and not be afraid of it, because often with the people I work with, they have to kind of reconnect back to how they're feeling. So they've numbed it out, they've tried to avoid it and all of that, because it's been too much for them. But actually the way to healing is to start connecting back into it, embracing it and walking through it. So whatever you're feeling, don't be ashamed of it, don't be embarrassed, don't judge it. You know, we've all got our stuff, we've all got head trash. It's not like, you know, if I was to say to you, if I came around to your house and looked at your rubbish bin and went, oh my God, you've got rubbish in your bin, you'd be like, yeah, don't we all? Like, everybody's got rubbish in their bin. Like, yes. You know, who's judged for that? No, like, we've all got head trash. That's the same. There's nothing to be ashamed of. We've all got it. You know, we've all had experiences that, you know, when we were a kid, we needed to be selfish because we were in a big family. And if we didn't like go for the food first, we probably didn't eat, right? So we had to kind of run in and grab the food off the table before it all disappeared. But maybe now with your dad, running in and grabbing all the food off the table for your kids is probably not a good move. So you just have to recalibrate your behavior patterns and just bring them back into balance. So the trash I'm talking about when I talk about head trash is like, yeah, those patterns that were at play when you were a kid that served you well then, they just don't serve well now. And so that's why it's head trash. Just as those jeans that fitted you well when you were 20 and now they don't fit and they got holes in, well, now you're going to throw them out, and you're not kind of looking at those jeans going, oh my God, I can't believe I've got these jeans. These jeans are so embarrassing. No, you're like, right, no more, get rid, get a new one. Yeah. You know, it's being very matter of fact about your stuff in your head. Okay, right. Okay, so I'm super selfish. Actually, being selfish is not a bad thing, but I'm probably a little bit too selfish. So maybe I need to bring that back into balance. And treating it in that way, rather than being, oh my God, I'm such a bad person, my selfishness is so bad, you know, like running down that track in your head. Yeah. It's just pulling that back a bit and being less judgmental towards yourself and kinder, so that you can kind of look at it and go, right, yeah, that's not good, I'm going to sort that out. And here, now there's a tool that you can do that really quickly, so that you can just crack on and put it aside, let go of it and move on, you know. So it's just to be kinder to yourself and to give yourself the space to explore this stuff. And then maybe give yourself a kick up the bum to go and sort it out.
Yeah, right.
You know, you can't just talk about it and look at it forever. At some point, you need to get into action mode.
Yes.
So, you know, you can't just talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people that kind of might spend years in therapy just talking about how they're feeling, but that doesn't actually do the healing. The healing happens when you kind of get into healing mode. Yeah. So at some point, rubber's got to hit the road, right? So yes, you can sit and embrace how you're feeling. But at some point, you might need to have a word with yourself and go, right, okay, how long am I going to let this sit? And at what point do I need to now move forward and start bringing about change? Because all that change comes from you. You need to be the one that takes the first step. So when is that for you?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I'll stop there. I think.
I love it. Beautiful advice. No, it's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful advice. And you're right. It's like, and if you are at a point where you're ready to take those steps, like just know there's people out there who care about you, who want to help you through the process, that you don't have to go through that alone. I mean, that's why, women like me and Alexia do what we do. We want to help guide you and not make you feel like you have to go through that journey alone. Because I don't want to speak for you, but for me, like there was lots of times throughout my life that I felt so alone and having to try to figure it all out, not knowing where I fit in. What am I going to do with my life? Who am I really? There's nothing like having supportive people who love you, even if they don't even truly know you. It's like they help you find a way to know yourself, and you build such great connections through that. And you just feel seen, you feel heard, you feel loved, you feel important, because you should. You do matter. Your life matters. Your future matters. Your children's lives matter. We all matter, and we all deserve to have the lives that we want. And that's what we're all striving to help each other achieve. So embrace that, embrace you. And like I said, be kind to yourself. I love that advice. Absolutely. So I will be sharing all your information, your links, so people can find you and subscribe to your podcast, follow you on Facebook or Instagram, where you're at. So share that with me. We'll make sure to get that in the show notes for anybody interesting to come work with you, learn more from you. I think they'd be very lucky, and you sound like you have such valuable information to provide for people. So that's amazing. And again, thank you so much for being with me here today and on the show.
Thank you, Mary, for having me. It's been an absolute delight.
Okay. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your beautiful day, and let's stay in touch and let's connect. I hope to bring you back eventually down the road and get an update on how things are going for you.
That'd be great.
Awesome.
What a powerful conversation that was. So grateful to have been able to talk with Alexia. Here are some key takeaways from today's episode. Fear of pregnancy and childbirth, known as taphephobia, can be a real challenging experience, so it's important to acknowledge and address it. Understanding and identifying the specific fears and anxieties you have about pregnancy and birth is the first step to addressing them. Alexia's head trash clearance method is not about positive thinking, but focuses on confronting and clearing fears. Clearing your fears during pregnancy can lead to a quicker and less painful birth, as well as reduce chances of medical intervention. Personal change and healing are continuous journeys, and that's essential to embrace your feelings and fears without judgment. Connecting with your feelings, embracing them, and working through them are essential to the healing process. Be sure to check out and subscribe to both of Alexia's podcasts, The Head Trash Show and Fear-Free Childbirth, for more information and support. I will provide all of Alexia's links in the show notes for you to find her and follow her on her journey as well. Lastly, subscribe to my show and leave me a review. It is truly appreciated and will help me to ensure I bring you all the value you are looking for each week. If you have any family or friends who would benefit from tuning in, please share this with them and tag me on Instagram or Facebook to let me know so I can thank you personally. If you want to learn more about how we can work together, visit me at marydibblecoaching.com or join us in the Radiant Mom Tribe on Facebook to learn more. I love and appreciate each and every one of you who tune in with me each week. Let us continue to rise and be the radiant moms we were always meant to be. Until next time, much love.